It's just past 1500 GMT and we start this news hour with the conflict in Sudan, which is now in its fourth month and showing no signs of easing. Millions of people have been displaced. At least 100,000 have fled to neighbouring countries. And those who've gone to Chad from the western Darfur region have been speaking about what they experience as they try to escape the regional capital, Geneina. The International Criminal Court at The Hague is now investigating suspected war crimes in Darfur. Refugees and witnesses say gunmen are killing and torturing civilians and leaving piles of burned bodies behind.
I was among a group of 37 people ordered by the militias, specifically the Rapid Support Forces, to cover the bodies. I know of 6 similar groups in the city. We were given iron hooks with which we dragged the bodies, covered them in plastic sheets, and then placed them in trucks that are transporting construction materials. The group picked up more than 300 corpses in 3 days on the orders of the armed men.
I am a refugee in Adre camp. I have 4 children who were shot, also after a shell that fell on us. I lost my granddaughter. In addition, I lost 2 sons. They were shot 15 days ago and they haven't arrived yet. Of course, whoever is shot and missing, we consider them finished, dead. If they suspect any person, they shoot him directly, and this one has a broken leg. He was shot directly. They will not have mercy on him. People in uniform are doing the killing, and they have heavy weapons. I can't tell you who kills, but they are not from the government. I saw a number of dead people dumped in the streets. In areas you find 2, sometimes 5, and sometimes you find a group. So I slept in the street, and the second day I continued walking, and in the street again I saw dead people dumped. Others were running away. They came out in the street at night to escape what happened in Geneina, and they were killed in ambushes. On the road you would find checkpoints, and they would search us, telling us to give them our phones and money. They targeted young people. Old men like us, they didn't push us as much.
Well, Hiba Morgan joins us now from Omdurman, near the Sudanese capital. And Hiba, a catalogue of harrowing testimonies there. What more have witnesses been saying?
Well, people have been giving horrific accounts of what they leave behind in Geneina to aid workers, to journalists, to friends, and to relatives who they can find in refugee camps. Many of them say that people from the Masalit who have been injured in the conflict or in the violence and go to hospitals are targeted even inside the hospitals. They say that those wounded are forced to be left behind because they cannot take the distance and because it's very hard to travel with an injured person when you're being targeted and as you try to flee for your life. So these testimonies are just some of the many, many testimonies that refugees who arrive in neighbouring Chad fleeing from Geneina have been giving to aid workers, rights groups and journalists. Now, the violence there is as a result of militias allied to the Rapid Support Forces targeting people based on their ethnicities. That's what the survivors have been telling journalists and aid workers and rights groups upon their arrival in refugee camps in Adre in neighbouring Chad. Many of them say that they don't know if their loved ones and family members who they leave behind are still alive or are lost. Many of them say that they try to embark on a journey of searching for potentially alive family members in refugee camps who may have come after them or may have come before them. But they all give the same testimonies, that they've been targeted, that they were militias and that they were supported by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces and that there's been no government response to protect them and protect their properties from those attacks.
Hiba, they do really sound like desperate accounts. And as you know, the conflict has caused a surge in cases of rape and the abduction of women and girls. And the United Nations says it's documented more than 50 cases since fighting began nearly 3 months ago.
Since conflict broke out in April, the UN Human Rights Office has received credible reports of violations against over 50 women and girls. In a single attack, as many as 20 women were reportedly raped. This week, I received additional information of the targeting of medical infrastructure and staff providing support to victims of sexual violence, as well as an increase in abduction of women and girls.
And Hiba, of course, the backdrop to all of this violence is the ongoing conflict between the Rapid Support Forces and the military. Where are we with that conflict now?
It's still very much ongoing. It's now in its fourth month. There's no sign of it ending anytime soon, with many political resolutions and initiatives being put forward to the warring sides, but very few being accepted or welcomed by both sides at the same time. Now, here in the city of Omdurman, in the early hours of Saturday, we were able to hear heavy artillery being fired between the paramilitary rapid support forces and the Sudanese army. Just a short while ago, there was an airstrike in the northern part of the city of Omdurman, and just prior to that, there was a drone attack by the paramilitary rapid support forces targeting the military hospital in the southern part of the city of Omdurman. Now, there's also been fighting reported in other parts of the capital as well, and talks between the two sides to bring an end to this conflict or to result in some kind of a ceasefire to allow for humanitarian assistance has been adjourned in the Saudi city of Jeddah. While the army says that it welcomes the initiatives and it does want to end the conflict, it says that it has to ensure that its sovereignty is maintained. That's one thing that the senior army officials have been telling Al Jazeera, that they want to ensure that the sovereignty of the nation is maintained in all the initiatives that are being proposed. The RSF, on the other hand, says it does want to end the conflict, but it also wants certain terms to be met. So while those two sides are trying to come to some sort of an agreement and mediators are trying to get the two sides to agree on something, on the ground here, civilians continue to witness fighting and continue to live the horrors of the conflict.
Hiba Morgan in Omdurman, thank you.